Hello everyone, just wanted to do a quick video documenting the repairs I've been carrying out on this truck. It's a 1994 8300 with the Detroit 60 engine. Having problems with it not wanting to start after it's been sitting for more than a few hours, so much so that when I got the truck, the starter was pretty shaky on it, so I went ahead and replaced it, thinking that a more powerful starter would help with the starting issue. It was a good idea to replace it because the other one was on its way out, but it turns out that not a starter problem. Primary issue here is that the truck is losing prime. This line here that connects to the suction side of the fuel pump eventually comes through. This is drawing fuel from the tanks. If you follow it over to the other side, it has a leak in it, so going ahead and replacing it. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I guess I'll stop here and show you the key. This is how you know this is a hard starting truck. You can see the key's been bent out of shape, and it actually has a crack in it from exerting so much effort and frustration trying to start this thing. It's really bad when you lose prime on one of these Detroit 60 series. This is the first one I've had. It doesn't have a manual pump like the other Internationals I have, and it's quite frustrating. The main culprit in these non-starting Detroit 60 series seems to be this check valve here on the back of the head. But in my case, after replacing that check valve, the truck did not improve at all. It just bleeds down the fuel right back into the tanks after a few hours, and you're stuck starting all over again with the help of a friendly ether can. So not something I like to do. So I decided to do the hard work and replace all the lines. Eventually I'll replace these here. Right now I'm going after the one that crosses over that I showed on the other side. I'll show you what that looks like on this truck. Line starts out here on the, like I said, on the side of the primary fuel filter. Secondary fuel filters back there. All of this ends up on the suction side of the fuel pump, and then once it's pressurized, crosses over into the pressure side of the fuel pump and pushed in beyond that. Starts on this side, disconnected obviously, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. As it comes up, it goes to this into this canister here, which is meant, I'm guessing, to since it's crossing over with coolant, this is where they're heating the fuel, the diesel, before it goes into the engine. In this case, this truck, when I first got it, these lines were actually connected via a male-to-male union of pi here. I guess the previous owner thought that this might be the issue, and so they had bypassed this whole assembly. Hopefully I'm not going to regret putting it back into play, but I'm reconnecting it. I did away with the male-to-male union, but I think the problem in this truck was the hoses were coming through here. I've taken them out to uninstall them, but I wanted to make the video showing. I think in this case, in the case of this truck, the main problem is in this area here. You can see this hose is damaged over here. On the other side of this, it was hanging a bit low as it went to that next hanger, and it was rubbing against this bolt and probably getting heat damage also. So both of these have some damage on them from that same area. So I'm going to go ahead and replace these two and just really go through and replace all of them because they're not in good shape, and these braided hoses are known to fail, especially when they're not secured correctly, which was definitely the case in this truck. In my case, it was a lot easier for me to, after struggling some time to trying to stick my hand in a bunch of wrenches and sockets, this via the transmission boot to try to get to the support that I'm trying to undo and disconnect. The hose is actually easy from this transmission boot, but the hangers were actually quite painful to get out. This one in particular was really bad because the bolt that was holding this was really rusted. very badly. I'm not sure why this truck is so rusty. I think most of the damage that happened to this panel is because when it rains it can leak water through the cap lights, and so the water trickles down, and I guess this has been perpetually wet. You can see mountains of rusty metal that I've removed. I'm going to try to replace this panel at the junkyard with a good part from the junkyard, but for now just cut an access hole in it as I start to document what hoses go where and get this all taken care of. I'm going to replace all the braided lines with new hydraulic quality lines that can handle both the pressure and just the heat of a diesel engine. And yeah, these lines are 30 years old, so they're not in the greatest shape. But yeah, I just wanted to show in my case, not the check valve unfortunately required a little bit more work, and not having the manual on this truck, it's a lot of digging and figuring out, just some trial and error, and exploration led me to thinking that removing this panel was a solution, but of course it's so rusty that none of the bolts come out. Just easier to take the grinding wheel and cut a hole in it. I'm going to be replacing the whole panel anyway, hopefully getting this truck in better condition. I just wanted to document this first repair as I move to replacing the hoses. Hopefully this is the end of the road, and the hoses were the problem and not anything else. So if you gain access to this area, you have access to all the hoses that you need to replace. A lot of these are split. They're split on this side, and then there's some that are tucked under here. This line comes over, tucked under there, so all of that needs to be accessed so that you can work on this thing and remove. Hopefully these fittings are all good in my case, and it's just a matter of hoses, but just wanted to document people struggling with the same problem. Detroit 60 series, hard starting, not fun when you're dealing with it. Never left me stranded, but really painful to get going. Need to go to work, and the thing won't start. It's very frustrating. So check valve replaced, didn't do the job. Moving on to the next stage, which are the hoses. Hopefully that is where the situation is, as quickly as this thing bleeds down. And I should say I did decide that it was the hoses that needed to be replaced, because I would let it sit for a while and come back to it. And this hose in particular, the one that draws from the fuel tank, when I would break this union open, there was no fuel in it, no pressure. You know, after a few hours, it was all bled down. So I'm thinking this guy is the primary culprit for my no start scenario. So pull that, have those made, hopefully reinstall everything smoothly, and then I'll make another video showing the fix, and yeah, we can go from there. Good luck to anybody else who's in the same boat. It's not fun to deal with these when they don't start. It takes too long to get these things going because there's no hand pump on these. So okay, see you on the next one. Thanks, bye.